Intro music fades in. Imagine a billionaire inviting an 11-year-old girl, the daughter of his maid, to play chess as a joke, completely unaware that she's a genius waiting to shine. This is the story of Maya, a girl who turned mockery into a movement. Stay with us on BUP Stories, because you won't believe what happens next. Pause. Sit down, kid. Give us all a little afternoon comedy, will you? Gregory Whitman leaned back in his designer tuxedo, one hand resting lazily on the edge of the marble chessboard at the center of his grand living room. His voice echoed, smug and sharp, slicing through the low jazz humming from the ceiling speakers. Laughter erupted around the room. She probably thinks a rook is something you cook, someone chuckled behind their glass of Pinot Noir. Does she even know the pieces move? Another guest added, her pearls clinking as she laughed. All eyes turned toward Maya, an 11-year-old black girl in a faded maid's uniform dress. She stood still, her frame slight but upright, as the golden California sunset poured through the tall windows behind her, casting her shadow long across the polished floor. Behind the velvet curtain near the kitchen archway, Clara, Maya's mother, watched, fingers clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. Clara had been in this house for 17 years. She'd polished these floors, served these drinks, and stood silent through far too many of Gregory's little games. But today, it wasn't just her dignity on the line. She's only in elementary school, sir, Clara's voice broke through, barely audible. Gregory waved his hand. Chess is about the mind, not the age. Who knows? Maybe she has some hidden spark of genius waiting to surprise us. What happens when the underdog steps up to the board and plays a game that changes everything? Keep watching BUP Stories to find out how Maya flips the script. Maya stepped forward. She didn't flinch, didn't smile. Her small hand reached for the chair opposite Gregory, pulling it out with calm precision. I'll go first, Mr. Whitman. Her voice was soft but sure, a quiet strength that made even the drunkest guest pause. Gregory scoffed, pressed the chess clock, and leaned in, clearly amused. She's got guts, someone whispered. Or no clue what she's walking into. Maya lifted her hand, moved the white pawn forward to e4. A clean, confident opening. Silence. The laughter trickled down into murmurs. Gregory furrowed his brow slightly, brushing it off with a smirk. Clara didn't move from the curtain. Her heart was racing, but her mind was drifting back to nights when Maya would sit at the kitchen table with a flashlight, poring over torn chess books they'd borrowed from the community library. And in that moment, as silence fell and the pawn stood tall at the center of the board, something shifted. Not just in the game, but in every heart watching. Maya didn't just move a piece. She moved a room, a mindset, a mountain built on doubt. If this story moves you even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment below on BUP Stories. Tell us where you're watching from and how Maya's quiet strength spoke to you. And if you believe in the power of stories to challenge, to heal, and to inspire, give this video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to BUP Stories for more tales that remind us courage comes in all sizes. No one had taught her. No coach, no club, just books. And the memory of Mr. Walter, the old army vet who used to live across the alley and play chess with beer bottles and a cardboard board. She thinks 4 moves ahead, he had once said. That girl's going to grow up checkmating fools who underestimate her. Gregory looked down at the board. He'd played hundreds of games here, always against bankers, CEOs, men who shook his hand with a smile and feared him behind their teeth. But now, across from him sat a girl, black, poor, quiet, who looked at him like she wasn't here to please. No one in the room, not even Gregory himself, realized this wasn't going to be a game. It was a beginning, the first crack in a wall built on arrogance and assumption. The clock ticked with soft, deliberate clicks, a sound too gentle for the tension pressing in on the room. Maya's hands rested in her lap, steady, unmoving, while Gregory tapped his fingers on the marble board, eyes narrowed at the pawn that had just invaded the center square. Clara remained half hidden behind the heavy curtain, her heart thudding in her chest like a drum. She wasn't sure if it was fear, pride, or a strange rising hope that knotted her stomach. Perhaps all three. One thing was certain. This wasn't a game to Maya. And Clara had seen that look before. It was the same look her daughter wore the night her only friend at school called her a charity case, and Maya came home silent, eyes burning like fire behind glass. Back at the board, Gregory moved his knight out confidently. A classic opening reply. "Let's not drag this out," he muttered loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. More polite chuckles. But Maya didn't smile. She reached out, lifted her bishop, and slid it into position. Her moves weren't rushed, but neither were they tentative. She wasn't guessing. She was building. While the match continued in the center of the grand room, Clara's mind wandered to where it all began. She remembered the tiny rented apartment above the dry cleaners off Jefferson Boulevard, where Maya first picked up a plastic chess set from a thrift shop bin for 50 cents. She'd been 7, bored, curious. Clara hadn't known a rook from a pawn, but she remembered Maya's eyes lighting up like she'd discovered a secret language. Every night after finishing her shifts then as a waitress, Clara would come home to find Maya hunched over the checkered board, facing imaginary opponents, whispering move names under her breath like spells. "You need real people to play with," Clara had said once. "I have me," Maya replied. And the books, those books had come from the downtown public library, stacked beside her bed like sacred texts. Capablanca, Fisher, Polgar. Maya read them like stories, each match unfolding like battlefields in her mind. Her notebooks were filled with chess notations, strange hieroglyphs of a private universe Clara barely understood. Gregory leaned back now, lips tight. Maya had just pinned his knight with a bishop, forcing a retreat. The guests weren't laughing anymore. They were watching. Really watching. "She's actually playing," someone murmured. "No, she's studying," another replied. Maya didn't hear them. She saw only the board, the geometry, the unfolding terrain of pressure and counterpressure. To her, every move was a question, every response a story. She had read these patterns, not in books alone, but in people, in the cafeteria lines, in the way teachers looked at her when she raised her hand too quickly, in how adults assumed silence meant ignorance. To Maya, chess was survival, strategy, proof. Back in the service quarters, her room was no more than a closet repurposed with a bunk, a shelf of torn books, and a tiny plastic fan. Yet on those cramped walls, she had drawn diagrams of traps and forks, gambits and defenses. Even her birthday wish last year wasn't for toys, but for a chess clock she saw in a pawn shop window. Clara made it happen. Sold her wedding ring. Maya never found out. Gregory made another move. Poor, rash. Maya's eyes flicked to the piece, then back to his face. She didn't smile, but inside something stirred. Across the room, a man in a navy suit whispered, "Where'd she learn this?" A woman with silver hair replied, "Not in any school around here." Another murmur, "What's her name?" Clara finally stepped out from the shadows, her back straightened, her voice calm. "Her name is Maya," she said clearly. Gregory glanced up for a second. Just a second. And in that second, he lost another piece. The air in the room had changed. Gone was the flippant mockery, the lightness of an upper-class afternoon amusement. In its place was tension, curiosity, discomfort. Maya made her next move, and Gregory was forced to castle, a defensive maneuver. His smile had faded, his brow furrowed. He looked at Maya now, not as a joke, but as a challenger. She was, without question, playing better than he expected, perhaps better than he was prepared for. And still she hadn't said another word. Clara watched it all. She saw more than chess. She saw a girl demanding to be seen in a world designed to overlook her. She saw every line in Gregory's face deepen, every casual guest fidget with their drink, every whisper shift tone from ridicule to respect. She whispered to herself, "That's my girl." Gregory sighed and moved a pawn. A weak move, predictable. Maya captured it without pause, setting up a threat 3 moves ahead. Another guest, a man with gray eyebrows and a chess club pin on his blazer, leaned toward his companion. "She's not just good, she's precise, like she's been playing every day for years." "She has," Clara said softly. The man turned, startled that she had heard him. "She taught herself," Clara added. "No coach, no school, just books and will." The man blinked, then looked back at the board. Well, fix what he broke. Maya touched her rook tattoo, a gift from Clara after nationals. I think he's afraid. Clara nodded. Scared of what you represent. Maya exhaled slowly. He's king on that board. He has power. He doesn't like losing it. Clara leaned forward. The offer? Maya sat back and folded her hands. We could say yes, use it to launch the chess club, but it means taking from the same table we sat to break. Clara reached across. Maybe that's exactly where we must plant ourselves. Maya's eyes searched her mother's. If we build with his grant, do we owe him anything? Clara shook her head. We set the terms. We hold the vision. Maya nodded. Then, let's do it. The next morning, they met Gregory and his assistant at the estate's small conference room, a polished oak table, warm tea, hushed determination. Gregory shook Clara's hand and looked at Maya with quiet sincerity. I apologize for how I framed it. You deserved respect, not spectacle. I hope this grant helps make that change. Maya's voice was steady. Respect doesn't come from money. It comes from trust. I won't take a dime if it means trading my voice. Gregory's lips tightened. After a moment, he nodded. You'll have my trust. They signed paperwork, foundation grant established, the Maya Whitmore Chess Initiative, scholarships, community workshops, coach stipends, seed money provided, expectations silent. 2 weeks later, the first club meeting was held at the local community center. Dozens of students, black, Latinx, low-income, fanned across tables, boards set for beginners. Eloise and Coach Pavel led instruction. Maya demonstrated opening moves. Clara served lemonade and muffins. Maya noticed Gregory watching from the back, quiet, observational, a strange presence, part observer, part sponsor. One student asked timidly, "Why chess?" Maya smiled. Because sometimes the people who don't notice the board are the ones who need it most. It helps you see the next step. A murmur of understanding. She continued, we're not just learning chess. We're learning how to think, how to stand, how to change the rules. Clara watched her daughter teach and knew they'd done the right thing. That night, Maya lay in bed, listening to the city breathing outside. Clara sat beside her. Did you see him? Maya asked softly. I did. Maya exhaled. I wonder if he believes yet. Clara held her hand. He sees now. That's more than many ever learn. Maya closed her eyes. Then the game's not over. Clara kissed her forehead. It never is. The community center hummed with quiet excitement. Long folding tables had been arranged in rows, each one neatly outfitted with chessboards and plastic timers, their numbers prominently taped to the sides. Children from all backgrounds gathered, some curious, some nervous, others already boasting memories of past victories. The Maya Whitmore Chess Initiative's first official gathering held more energy than any board game had a right to. Gregory Whitman watched from a folding chair near the wall, his hands clasped tightly in front of him. He wore no tuxedo here, only a simple blazer and slacks, seemingly wanting to blend in. But blending in wasn't easy when half the crowd saw his face pinned to the announcement he'd funded. Clara stood at the front, greeting families as they arrived. She wore a modest dress, her hair neatly pulled back, and something in her posture had changed. She no longer hovered behind her daughter. Tonight, Clara held her own presence. It wasn't a place she thought she'd ever belong. But here she stood, equally important. Maya took a deep breath and tapped a small bell she'd decorated earlier. Welcome to our first meeting, she called, voice calm but carrying. The room quieted. Thank you for coming. This is not just a chess club. This is a place you can belong. A place to discover what you're capable of. Applause filled the room. Children beamed. Parents' faces glowed. One little boy raised his hand immediately. What if I don't know how to play? Maya knelt to his level and smiled. Then we'll teach you. That's what we're here for. Clara watched her daughter, her soft voice, her confidence, the way she looked each child in the eye. She felt her chest tighten with pride in something else, a fierce urge to step up. Later, a hesitant pause formed near the center of the room. A middle-aged woman named Mrs. Jenkins approached Clara. She had come with her granddaughter, whom Maya had already paired with an experienced volunteer. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said to Clara. "My granddaughter has trouble focusing in school. I saw her today. She was laser-focused." Clara nodded, swallowing emotion. "Thank you for coming." She glanced at Gregory across the room and realized something. Tonight wasn't about him. It was about them, community, possibility, hope. She stepped forward and tapped a pencil against the wooden podium they'd set up beside the coat rack. "Excuse me," she said, voice gentle but strong. "I don't often speak in front of people. But I want to say this. Maya didn't just spark a board today. She lit something in all of us. And I'm here tonight because I believe in possibility, because every move she makes with heart." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Gregory watched, his expression unreadable, but tears glistened in Clara's eyes. Maya joined her mother, and together they offered a simple invitation to sign up for weekend workshops, to join a mentorship program, to tell everyone they knew that this was a place of welcome and challenge. As the meeting ended, the cacophony of excitement swelled. Parents gathered around Maya. Volunteers lined up to help organize schedules. Clara was approached again and again, not as a maid's daughter or a servant, but as a partner in something new, something rising. Gregory walked over, carrying an envelope. Clara braced. "I wanted to add more," he said quietly. "Money, resources, whatever is needed." Clara looked at him, paused, then smiled. "Thank you. We'll use it carefully." He nodded, eyes down. "Thank you for letting me." Later, after everyone had left, Clara and Maya cleaned up side by side. A stack of unplaned chessboards leaned against the wall. Timers ticked quietly. A single poster read, "Next meeting, Saturday, 9 a.m. Bring your passion." Maya wiped a board with a cloth. "Mom," she said, "did you ever think we'd be here together?" Clara paused, emotion warming her voice. "No. But I believed you could bring others here. I just never thought I'd be standing with you." Maya glanced over and smiled softly. "You've been standing beside me from the start." Clara felt something shift, a realization that her own worth wasn't tied to her job or her past. Her dignity stood tall tonight, reflected in children's eager faces and parents' hopes. They locked eyes and held that moment. Maya tapped her pawn gently onto the board, one move at a time. Clara nodded. "Exactly." They switched off the lights and stepped out into the warm evening air. The center behind them buzzed with invitations, laughter, possibility. They walked home hand in hand, two champions on different boards, ready for the next game. The morning sun poured through the windows of the community center, illuminating the faces of children and volunteers gathered for a special event. Today wasn't a regular club meeting. It was the first official tournament hosted by the Maya Whitmore Chess Initiative. Banners hung on the walls, reading, "Every move matters and think, learn, grow." Trophies were neatly arranged on a table near the front, waiting for hands eager to take them. Maya stood at one end of the room, organizing boards and welcoming newcomers. Clara floated between tables, serving water and encouragement. Volunteers set up timers and score sheets. You could feel it in the air: community, purpose, quiet excitement. At 3 o'clock, Eloise tapped her spoon against a coffee cup. "Let's begin," she said. The chatter lowered to focused intent, boards were reset, chairs straightened, first-round matchups were announced. Maya's eyes traveled across the room, landing on Gregory Whitman standing near the back, arms crossed. He didn't interrupt anything, just watched. His expression was inscrutable. He'd become a fixture in these meetings, a silent sponsor. But today, something felt different. Maya felt it humming in his gaze, a respect, perhaps even pride. Her first opponent was Lucas, a boy no older than 9, with bright eyes and shaking hands. His first move came quick, a beautiful pawn to e4. Maya responded gently, setting a welcoming tone. The match began. Lucas played with honesty and urgency. He didn't hold back. He attacked early, trading pawns, pressing Maya into defensive positions, but Maya treated it like a teaching moment. She offered suggestions under her breath, helping him see opportunities. When he hesitated, she encouraged him. When he missed a move, she didn't judge. Maya paused the game to show him what he could have done differently. Lucas' eyes brightened at each insight. His final miss on move 23 allowed Maya to place him in check. She paused and leaned forward. "Want to try that again?" she whispered. Lucas nodded eagerly. Maya reset the board 5 moves back. They played again. Lucas made the move properly this time, and Maya, true to tradition, delayed taking his piece. Instead, she took his hand and said, "That's the moment I saw you grow." The room erupted in soft applause as Lucas moved his king into checkmate. He jumped from his chair, eyes wide with delight. Volunteers congratulated him. Parents wiped away tears. Maya hugged him, whispering, "Great game." Clara watched, tears of pride lingering. She caught Gregory's eye. He nodded, just once. Maya stayed busy 3 more rounds that afternoon. Each match was different. One boy, 15, tried to intimidate her, but ended confused as she smiled and helped him navigate his own mistake. One girl, shy and full of potential, couldn't speak until Maya handed her a glass of water and suddenly spoke enough to say thank you. By the final round, Maya had 3 wins and 1 draw. Her opponent, a teenage girl named Serena, who had been winning most matches quietly but effectively. Maya approached the board and greeted her with a respectful nod. Their game was skillful but friendly. Neither made brutal moves. Rather, they traded insights under their breath, forming a quiet bond mid-game. On move 38, Maya offered a draw. Serena paused, then smiled and shook. The room buzzed with